Hey everybody! My name's Lance, I'm the owner of Permanent Records, and welcome back to our YouTube channel, and welcome for all you first timers as well. In this video, I'm going to show off another round of recent arrivals. Every week we put out somewhere between 500 and 700 used recent arrivals, all at $8 or more, so it doesn't count any of the bargain bin stuff that we price throughout the week. And I'm back with a video of some of my favorites. There's way too many records in the bargain or in the recent arrivals this week for me to show off all of them. Maybe I'll do a quick flip video before I close this one out, but I want to show you just a handful, about 20 or 30 of my favorites out of this week's recent arrivals. But before we get into that stack, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and leave me a comment, because I love to interact with y'all and I love to hear your thoughts on what we got going on over here at Permanent Records and what you think of my picks out of the recent arrivals. All right, before we go any further, as you can see, I got a slightly different backdrop today. This is a big part, a big chunk of the recent batch of box sets that we've recently acquired. There are more box sets in the shop right now than we've ever had, I think, before, including some very rare ones like that Rolling Stones box up there. There's a bunch of Led Zeppelin boxes behind me here. I can see a Frank Zappa CD box over here. There's a Lamont Young down there. What else we got back there? I see Styx. I see Jimi Hendrix, the band. Oh, man. So anyway, we got a ton of box sets, but my favorite box set we have, obviously, is this Brown Acid box. This box is empty, but you can fill it with all 10 of the second 10 trips. That's what this box was created for, to contain Brown Acid, the 11th trip, through Brown Acid, the 20th trip, which will be out in April. As of right now, only 11 through 19 are available, but we decided to go ahead and make this deluxe box so the completists out there have something to put their 11 through 19 trips in. You can get one of these for yourself right now at permanentrecordsla.com. I am the curator of the Brown Acid compilation series. For those of you who are unfamiliar, this is a series of comps that collects hard rock, heavy psych, and proto metal from the late 60s and early 70s. All very obscure, mostly very rare 45s from my personal collection. And yeah, it's kind of like the Bizarro World classic rock that you've never heard, your favorite records you've never heard before. So cop one of those. The first box for the first 10 trips sold out. Those are long gone now, probably not to be repressed or reprinted anytime soon, but you can still get this 10 more trips box right now, for now anyway. And there's a bundle on our website as well for those of you who would like to catch up. And since we last spoke, we've also gotten in the Tennessee River Crooks LP. This is an amazing album. 1976, that's when this was originally released. 1976, out of Paris, or Puryear, Tennessee to be exact. This record is amazing. If you like the Allman Brothers, Leonard Skinner, and stuff like Steve Miller Band, kind of is a good comparison as well, I highly recommend that one. There's 400 copies on that Tennessee Coneflower purple vinyl, also available at our website, permanentrecordsla.com. And of course, the latest volume of Brown Acid on purple haze colored vinyl, real purple centric color scheme going on these days, the 19th trip. And I've already talked about Brown Acid, so I won't bore you with more of those details. All right, now into some of my favorite picks out of this week's recent arrivals. This Victor Brady record is unlike anything you've ever heard. Victor Brady's Brown Rain. The title track on here is exactly 11 minutes and 30 seconds long, and it's an epic psych jam featuring none other than the steel drum as the lead instruments. Absolutely stunning. If that sounds even slightly interesting to you, or if you'd like to hear what Jimi Hendrix would sound like if he's playing a steel drum, go check out this Victor Brady album, Brown Rain. It's unbelievably inexpensive for how great it is. Speaking of greatness, we got Eugene McDaniel's Outlaw. This is a white label promo. I won't get the record out of the jacket. It's in one of our nifty resealable Japanese polys, but that's an amazing record. If you haven't heard this or the Headless Heroes of the Apocalypse by Eugene McDaniels, go check those records out now. Just classic psychedelic soul funk anomalies. Unbelievable records. One of my favorite lyrics from that album is, "She's an outlaw and she don't wear a bra." There's a ton of reggae still in the shop. Probably won't last long, but for now we got a bunch of reggae, including some rarities like this Dignitary Stylish record here. We don't get a lot of reggae, unfortunately, especially not a lot of super clean classics like this one. Come on down if you're into reggae. We have more reggae now than we usually do. Here's an amazing Beat Happening test pressing. This is the Dreamy test pressing. I believe this is the UK pressing on Glitter House. Super cool. Just classic 90s indie rock. I think this album came out in the 90s, either late 80s or early 90s. Calvin Johnston, if you're watching, please forgive me. And another cool test pressing by the Hair and Skin Trading Company. If you're familiar with the band Loop, this is a side project of at least one of the guys from Loop, called Hair and Skin Trading Company, and this album is called Overbalance. Also in the rare zone, we got a sealed copy of this Texas punk classic. This is the Dicks, These People on Alternative Tentacles. Hard to find in any condition, much less still sealed. Speaking of still sealed, we got an OG stereo. I believe this is a promo, but it's still sealed. Unbelievable, with this really cool radio station sticker on there. Yeah, it's a Decca kind of mailing label sticker on there with the suggestion to listen to Boris the Spider. I'm a bass player, not a very good one, but I've played in a bunch of bands over the years, and in the first band I ever played in, we covered Boris the Spider. It's a really fun song to play on bass, really fun Who song. Not their best work ever written by John Entwistle, but it's a really fun one, and I remember playing that on Halloween one year. It was really great, for sure. We reissued this Stonewall record before Permanent Records reissued it legitimately with the permission of the band. It was bootlegged many times. This is one of the many bootlegs. I would recommend getting our copy, our version, where you can actually see the band members' faces on the cover of the album instead of this this bootleg from sometime in the 90s, but this is in our recent arrival, so I had to show that off. Of course, that's one of my favorite records of all time. The Bob Seger System. Regardless of what you think of Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, or whatever preconceived notions you might have, if you've never listened to the Seger System stuff, especially the self-titled debut, go check it out. It's got the track 2+2 on it. Also Ramblin' Gamblin' Man. This is an absolute Detroit rock and roll classic. You have to hear this before you die. It's an absolute stunner. All right, and then going down under, we have Stevie Wright's Hard Road. Stevie Wright was the singer for the Easy Beats, and after the Easy Beats, he did this solo album. This is a promo, not a white label, of course, but yeah, this record is awesome. If you like early 70s groovy rock and roll, this Hard Road album will scratch your itch. Changing gears again, we got the Hoodoo Gurus. This is Stone Age Romeos. This is just an awesome, is it late 70s or early 80s power pop album? Doesn't matter. We don't have time for the details in this video right now, but if you like power pop, if you like catchy, big star type power pop, go check out the Hoodoo Gurus. Stone Age Romeo immediately. I'm gonna brisk briskly breeze right past these, we got a whole bunch of jazz in the shop. The shop is chock full of jazz, including a whole bunch of Music Matters, and Tone Poet, and reissues like these that are out of print. A lot of them are on heavyweight vinyl and cut at 45 RPM audiophile quality pressings, and there are a ton of them in absolutely stunning condition in the bins right now and up on the wall, which you can't see behind me. And last but not least, here's another one of those. Just unbelievable stuff. These things, like, you can just feel the quality and the weight of these records, and yeah, highly recommended. 'Tis the season. As you can see, we got our holiday records out, and obviously I'm going to recommend a couple of my favorites. The Carpenters' Christmas Portrait is a great one to put on around the holidays, but on the more serious tip, I highly recommend this Rotary Connection album, Peace. It is a holiday record to be enjoyed by serious music heads. It is definitely holiday themed, as you can see by old Saint Nick there on the cover, but it has kind of a more timeless feel to it. You can play this record any time of the year and enjoy it, but it's especially enjoyable this time of year. And for those of you who would like a little more history on this, I highly recommend checking out the episode of I'd Buy That for $1, one of my favorite podcasts on the Rotary Connections Peace album. I've discussed this album in the past. I will discuss it again in the future because I think it's an unsung, idiosyncratic classic. And we have 2 copies of it in recent arrivals. This is Manfred Mann's Chapter 3. This is the album that, and a still sealed copy and a regular stock copy in the bins right now as well. This is the album that the gentlemen in Manfred Mann wanted to make, but did not feel like they had the artistic freedom to make until 1968 or 69 when this album came out. This is an unbelievably groovy, heavy without being doomy, just moving album. Go listen to Traveling Lady off this album right now, and if that does not knock your socks off, I don't know what will. And if it does, check out the whole album, Chapter 3, Manfred Mann Chapter 3. There's a second album under the Manfred Mann Chapter 3 umbrella called Volume 2. They both have different covers and are far more expensive as UK pressings, but this is the US pressing. I like this cover. It's not as cool, but it is certainly interesting looking, and I would not pass that over in the bins, and neither should you. This needs no introduction for any of you familiar with hard rock and heavy psych from the early 70s. This is one of the most fantastic heavy rock albums from the early 70s, St. Anthony's Fire. These guys were Detroit area, and it shows. It really sounds like kind of the missing link between the MC5 and the Stooges, and this was lovingly reissued by the folks at Rockadrome and Lion, and I picked one of these up from Dennis when I was at the Austin Record Convention. This is the Rockadrome exclusive yellow colored vinyl, as you could tell by the sticker there. Yeah, I own an OG of this. The original pressings are about $1,500 these days, something in that ballpark, and well worth it. If an album can be worth every single penny at $1,500, this one is absolutely. It deserves your attention. Just to read a little bit out of the Acid Archives from the hype sticker here, it says, this legendary private press is rated as one of the ultimate local basement hard rock blowouts by many connoisseurs, myself included, and it was released as early as 1970. The end result has some similarities to MC5's Hollowed the Kick Out the Jams album, but I find this a superior and more powerful album. That's what it says in the Acid Archives, so don't just take my word for it. On the psychedelic tip, but on the way more kind of free-form, Indian-influenced or Middle Eastern-influenced, jammed out psych vibe is this Clark Hutchinson album, A = MC². This is a reissue of that album. Clark Hutchinson did at least 2 albums. The other one's called Retribution. Both are worth listening to, and that's an expanded edition with some bonus tracks. Here's a little cheap Pete for you avant-garde music lovers. This Nexus album, I had never seen this in person, or I'd never taken note of it anyway until I found one recently, and then I found a second copy. This is $8. It's very, very interesting, long form, experimental, avant-garde, kind of jazzy, freeform stuff. I highly recommend this. I've recommended it to a couple of people, including Stunty over at Stunk Rock Confusion, and my buddy Dom, Seeking a Thread on YouTube. And yeah, please, somebody take note. Give this record more attention than it's getting currently. It deserves a lot more love. It's a really interesting listen. On the more pop side of things, we got Christina's Sleep It Off. This is a just classic, kind of obscure new wave album that I highly recommend for those of you who like to dance to music. What a concept, right? Those of you more into banging your head will enjoy this Epitaph album. This was originally released on Billingsgate in the US. Billingsgate is the US label that put out like some Noi records and Lucifer's Friend and a bunch of cool krautrock stuff, including this Epitaph album. I don't know why this is so inexpensive. It's certainly not really common. It's not hard to find online, but you rarely see this thing in the flesh, and it rips. It's absolutely amazing. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, some still sealed punk rock. This is, I believe, an OG Dead Kennedys. Give Me Convenience or Give Me Death. Amazing. And we have an OG copy of the self-titled Violent Femmes album, including the hits Blister in the Sun and Kiss Off. Everybody loves this album, and it just keeps going up and up in value for a good reason. I think it was very undervalued for far too long. Getting back into jazz, we got a still sealed copy of Charisma by Lee Morgan. That's just unbelievable. A super clean, the nicest copy of the East Side Review. This is a double LP compilation of a bunch of East LA groups from the early to mid 60s. Absolutely amazing stuff. If you like the East Side Story comps, this is kind of the grail of that comp world. It's absolutely amazing. I believe that's also, there is at least a version of it on yellow translucent vinyl. This is Crossbones Wise Man. This is a Zamrock classic. Way too clean to be an original. Obviously, this is a reissue. But yeah, it begs the question, is it better to have a super nice reissue that plays really well or a really beat up OG? I have my opinions on that matter. I would love to hear your opinion. Please drop me a comment below and let me know what you think. But either way, go check out Crossbones Wise Man albums up there in the Zamrock world. And then bringing things back home to LA, we got the Rain Parade's Emergency Third Rail Power Trip. This is a classic of the Los Angeles Paisley underground scene. If you're not already familiar with this record and you like pop music that is more dreamy and psychedelic than your average 80s pop music, this is definitely for you. And getting back into the late 60s psych scene, this record is absolutely stunning. This is Think Pink by Twink. Twink was a member, this is a reissue, obviously. The barcode tells it all. The gentleman there is Twink. Twink was in the Pink Fairies, the drummer in the Pink Fairies, who I also highly recommend checking out, especially the album Kings of Oblivion. I think that's the gateway into the Pink Fairies world. Pink Fairies were a big part of the same scene that Hawkwind was a part of. Pink Fairies and Hawkwind used to jam at live music festivals, and they were called Pink Wind occasionally. Anyway, Twink did a solo album back in, I think this is from 1970, I don't know, late 60s, early 70s. and it's absolutely amazing. The song 10,000 Words in a Cardboard Box is the jam to preview if you don't want to start at the beginning. I recommend listening to the whole album, but if you don't like 10,000 Words in a Cardboard Box, that whole album probably will not appeal to you. And last but not least, as y'all know, I'm on a huge Southern rock kick. This Allman Brothers double LP is tried and true cheap heat. You may think this is some kind of compilation. No, it is not. It is the first two albums. It is the self-titled album and Idlewild South by the Allman Brothers. Just rebranded. They did that sometimes, and I think they kind of did the Allman Brothers and themselves a disservice by not branding it better. What are you gonna do? Anyway, the point is you can get yourself copies of the first and second, probably in my opinion the first and the first and second best albums in the Allman Brothers catalog by gripping a copy of Beginnings. These are $10 or less all day, and that one's super clean. And last but not least, Brian Wilson, Pacific Ocean Blue. A lot of people think I look like Brian Wilson from this era. I don't know if I get it. When I had a beard, I grew a beard every year that I lived in Chicago, and it was kind of big and bushy like that, and I guess I could see it then. I don't know if I see it. Let me know if you see a resemblance between me and Brian Wilson in the comments below. Either way, Pacific Ocean Blue is an absolutely wonderful album, and I highly recommend it. Whether you're a Beach Boys fan or not, this album is super, super soothing. This is just a reissue of it, but I thought I would show it anyway because it's so great. And last but not least, for those of y'all looking for a gift for a holiday present, we got mystery boxes here with "To From" stickers right on the front. I think I'm gonna wrap these in wrapping paper and offer them that way. There's 25 records in this box, 25 random records, and the whole box only costs you $25. Seems like a pretty good way to have a little fun this holiday season, maybe even for like a white elephant gift or something like that. Anyway, I think that brings us to the end of this particular video. Thank you all for watching until the end. My name is Lance, and I will be back here with another video for you soon. Thanks for watching.